Density. Density is a physical property, and we talk about density because it can describe everything. Very simply put, density is the comparison of how much matter, that would be mass, there is in a certain amount of space, which is volume. So how much matter there is in a given amount of space, or how much mass there is in a certain amount of volume. Alright, so let's go back to this one. Let's pretend that each of these purple dots are people in a square. The squares are the same size, but we were going to ask which one is more dense. Well, the volume is the same. However, the mass or the number of matter in the boxes is different. The one with the greatest number is more dense. Let's look at these two. This time we have the same amount of purple dots, so the mass is the same, but the volume is different this time. So which one is more dense? Well, if we look at the one on the right, if we pretend like these are people again, these people could wander around in here and possibly never hit each other. However, if we're in this one, the likelihood of people bumping into each other is greater because there's more mass in a smaller volume, or the same mass but in a smaller volume. So that means this one on the left is more dense. So here's our math part of this. Density equals mass divided by volume, and the units that we use is grams per cubic centimeter, which is used when we are doing a regular shaped object, length times width times height, or if we have to measure the density of a liquid or the density of an irregular shaped object like a rock, a paperclip, a marble, any of those things where you can't do length times width times height, you would use milliliters in the water displacement method, or cc's, which are rare, but that's another way of saying cubic centimeters because that's cubic centimeters. And so all this would be gram per cubic centimeter, gram per milliliter, gram per cc. Cubic centimeter. And that answers this question. Why are these the units for density? Alright, so let's try a couple math problems together. Frank has a paperclip and it has a mass of 9 grams and a volume of 3 cubic centimeters. What's its density? Well, 9 divided by 3 is 3, and the units were grams over cubic centimeters. So the answer is 3 grams per cubic centimeter. Alright, let's try the second problem. He has an eraser. It has a mass of 3 grams and a volume of 1 cubic centimeter. Again, let's put these 3 grams over 1 cubic centimeter, and its density is 3 grams per cubic centimeter. Whoops. Alright, I want you to try these two on your own. So be sure to pause and work it out. Don't forget your units. Okay, now that you've practiced doing some of the math, let's start actually looking at it in action. Let's talk about liquids. If we pour liquids together and they don't mix because they have different density, they actually will form layers. The liquid with the highest density, meaning the number the largest, will be on the bottom. The liquid with the lowest density will be on the top. So let's look at this picture. This is a common picture that's probably in your book. Which layer has the highest density, which means the one with the biggest number? Hopefully you said the green one. Which one has the lowest density? Hopefully you said the yellow one. So now let's kind of put these in order. Let's go from the lowest to the highest. 3 grams per cubic centimeters should be at the top, followed by the blue one being 5 grams per cubic centimeters, followed by 6 grams per cubic centimeters, and then 10 grams per cubic centimeters in the bottom. Alright, I want you to try this one on your own, so be sure to stop and match the colors to the correct density. Feel free to pause and draw this if you'd like. Okay, let's see the answers. Did you get it right? I'm sure you did. Alright, so in reviewing, what is the formula for density? Density equals mass divided by volume. What happens if we pour together the liquids that have different densities? They'll layer. Will the liquid on the top have the highest or the lowest? It will be the lowest. And the liquid on the bottom will have the highest or the lowest? It will have the highest. One thing that I did not mention is the density of water. So make sure you add this. Water's density is 1 gram per milliliter. So the way that we start defining density in class is, does it sink or float in water? Whoop. And finally, Jack has a book, a ruler, and a balance. How can Jack find the density of a book with the tools that he has? I want you to write about that in your notes, and we'll discuss it in class.